People see karma a lot of times through the lens of Judeo Christian thinking about sin and punishment. But I don't look at karma that way. I've done over 2,000 past life regressions on clients and many, many more energy healings and delved into how people hold on to their issues. So I'm going to talk about karma, and I want to talk about it not as some big expert, just as somebody working in the field. And here's my perspective on it. Karma is kind of like if you push down on something like a chair, a trampoline, whatever. If something gets pushed down and you relieve that pressure, it bounces back up. Karma is just regulating, okay? It's just equalizing things. It's saying not so much that, well, if you killed somebody in a past life, then you need to be killed. No. It's that the energy needs to be equalized. Let's say everything in the universe, when you add it all together, comes out to zero. All the negatives are balanced by all the positives, and you come to zero. But zero is not about nothing, it's more about infinite potential. And so there's what we call the 0 point. Now, there's a form of healing called 0 point balancing, which is awesome, which I have received. I'm not an expert at the theory of the 0 point, so I'm just telling you the way I look at it. But the way I look at it, when we transcend the positive and the negative, we arrive at a higher dimension and we arrive at something that can be called the 0 point. It's that perfect point of balance between positivity and negativity and ends up going beyond positivity and negativity. So the deal with karma is that we need to balance things out that have created an imbalance from past lives or from things that we've done, emotions we've had, or whatever. And so there's a certain thing where the universe just wants to balance things. Um, Now, when we have grown up with religions like Christianity, where there are sins and you pay for these sins by going to hell, and you redeem yourself by asking for forgiveness or turning your life over to Jesus or whatever. Um, cool. If that works for you, please go do it. Absolutely. Um, but the way I look at it is that let's start from the foundation. You are a soul. That is your true identity. And it even goes beyond that. You are divine. You are the divine, an expression, a unique expression of that which would be called God. That doesn't mean you are God. That doesn't mean to go get a big ego and, because everything is God. So, whatever the hell God is, you're it, I'm it, and the piece of dog shit on the sidewalk is it too. Everything is an expression of the divine. And the divine delights in its expressions. And then there's something that gets in there and creates this thing called duality. Humanity is emerging from this 3D reality that is based on duality. And how do we emerge from the duality? We emerge by getting to this 0 point. We emerge by balancing the scales. And when we do that, we emerge out of duality into a kind of oneness. And that oneness is the next level of existence from where we are now. So, how do we balance these scales? Well, let's talk about it from two levels. There's the level of this life, and there's the level of past lives. And in the end, it's all the same energy that we are carrying. It doesn't matter really if it comes from this life or a past life, but let's ignore that for now. So we have the energy of this life. And think of it this way, no matter what your karma is, the universe keeps throwing you situations and people that are custom designed to resolve that karma. And the number one way of resolving the karma is not interacting with these people and situations on a dualistic level. Think of it this way. You have a wheel spinning, and there is a temptation to push it and keep it spinning. But if you don't push it, it'll quit spinning eventually. Okay, that's kind of, they call it the wheel of karma, right? So, for example, there are always these issues that are on a continuum. So, let's say somebody humiliates you, they are the humiliator, and you are the humiliated. So, they humiliate you, and you have revenge fantasies about getting back at them and humiliating them. Both sides keep the wheel spinning. So, what would stop this wheel of karmic humiliation? Neutrality. Clearing the issue of humiliation. What does it mean to actually be humiliated? Is it important? Is it an important thing? Is it important to protect yourself against humiliation? Or is humiliation perhaps an emotion that humans just happen to feel? Is it possible that humiliation isn't really a problem? Is it possible that humiliation is an illusion that we are stuck on? We are either stuck on dishing it out, or we're stuck on seeing ourselves as the victim of this humiliation. Now, I just picked humiliation as just a generic stand-in thing that we can use as an example. We can use a lot of different examples. Anything that's opposite. We can use beautiful, ugly. We can use smart, dumb, whatever. But today I'm using humiliation because the ego hates humiliation. So, when we are constantly trying not to be humiliated, we might even make it part of our philosophy that I would not humiliate anybody. We might even curtail our truth, hold back our truth for fear of humiliating another person. But all of that would just keep the wheel of karma spinning. So, what would help that? don't care about humiliation. Clear your issues around humiliation. That's what I help people do in my healing practice and my past life regression practice, to just neutralize the issue so that nobody can humiliate you, and you would have no interest in humiliating anybody. That's where you ascend. That's where you clear the issue. So, what does reincarnation have to do with any of this? What do past lives have to do with any of this? Well, it's really more like, think of past lives as past days in this life. It's not that much different. From a soul level, your past lives are exactly what your past days are on a normal human incarnational level. So, as you explore letting go of karma, you may find that some of this karma, some of these issues, actually do come from past lives. Now, the fact is, your issues are going to come to you in this life no matter what. You do not have to go to past lives. You don't have to even look at your childhood. But it's a really useful tool to look at both of them. Nothing is required, because the fact is, your karma will manifest dramas in your life. And when they manifest these dramas into your life, you will have the choice to either go into opposition mode, to go into polarity, or to go to the 0 point of neutrality, the neutrality that dissolves karma. Because that's what does dissolve karma, neutrality. See, it doesn't dissolve karma if you were murdered by somebody in 20 past lives. The solution is not now you have to murder them in 20 lives and now you're all clear. That's not how it works. It would be, number one, why do you keep manifesting this situation? Not that they are blameless. I would ask them the same question, right? But why do you keep manifesting this same situation? What are you doing that's attracting this drama into your life? It could be fear. It could be your hidden violent tendencies that you refuse to let out that get manifested as the other person. Anyway, let's go beyond that, because that's too much for now. But anyway, the thing is, your past lives are not some uniquely different type of thing than your past in this life. It's very similar. And so when you're stuck on an issue, then it can be helpful and very therapeutic to see the way that you were stuck on that issue in other lives. And that's because you are not really connected to the story and to the ego and the personality of those past life characters. So it's easier to see it as an objective observer. But you're not totally an objective observer, because when you do past life regression and you relive some of these events that are part of your karmic heritage, you actually feel it as a personal thing, but at the same time, you have distance because it's not you, your current character. So, for example, if you have a past life where you were kind of like the prince Harry, you were the second born son to the royal family, to um, the king, the queen, whatever. And you had this older brother that was going to be the king and that had all of these privileges that you didn't have. And let's say that older brother just loved putting you down, humiliating you, and kind of showing his superiority, gloating over it. And let's say in that past life, you did something drastic about it. Whatever you did, maybe you harmed yourself. Maybe you harmed your older brother. Maybe you ran off and became a hermit in a cave somewhere. Maybe you got into all kinds of debauchery, drunkenness, um, sexual stuff, whatever. So maybe you spent your whole life feeling humiliated by your older brother, by everybody around you, and it felt like a big conspiracy of the whole world against you. Now, in that situation, you probably didn't have the ability to look at it as like, hey, I'm still in the royal family. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I'm not going to be working in the coal mines anytime soon. Um, and I also don't have the burden that I'm going to have to be the king. There's a lot of pressures on my older brother that I don't have to deal with. And the fact is, if something happens to him, I fill his spot anyway. So it's not out of all range of possibilities. Um, so, but the fact is, for a lot of those people, they got stuck in that situation for an entire lifetime. Okay, so let's say you have a past life regression and you realize that all these feelings of not good enough and feeling humiliated your whole life come from that. What if you really realize that? Wouldn't that be wild? And then, but the thing is, you can feel how the humiliation from that past life feels really just like the humiliation you're feeling right now. But you have a little bit of a distance because it's a story of a royal family, and right now you're not in a royal family. So it's kind of a cool story. You can relate, but you don't feel like it's really totally you in the same way. There's a little space. There's a little aerial view over the situation. Instead of looking at it as me, poor me, being humiliated, you actually look at it as that guy over there, that prince guy. That's not really me, but yeah, maybe it's my past life, whatever. So the thing is, when you have a past life regression and you go back to that humiliation, there's something that happens where the bubble of illusion is popped. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. And I've seen it literally hundreds of times with my clients. And the balloon pops. And once a balloon pops, you can't fill it with air ever again. So this is how we resolve karma with past life regression. Um, because we get to the core of the issue energetically, and we have the ability to look at the same issue that we're dealing with right now from a different angle. And that gives us just enough space to look at it objectively, and that space creates a space for healing and personal transformation. So when you actually relive a past event, somehow healing happens. Now, that happens in traditional therapy too. You can ask somebody about their relationship with their mom or their dad or their siblings and what their life was like growing up. And they can remember a certain event and have an emotionally cathartic reaction, maybe involving some tears, and after that feel much better, like they released a huge issue. So when you go to the past life level, it's just the next octave of that. So that's the way I look at releasing karma. Not that there isn't a lot more to talk about, and I'm sure I will. But just think of karma as an area where the energies are unbalanced. They're rebalancing to get, excuse me, to get to that 0 point where the scales even out. Okay? And that's where we have to be to then move up to the next level of our spiritual ascension. We can do it without knowing our past lives. Let me be really clear about that. We can do it without exploring our childhood. It's possible, but it's a lot easier to use the tools that are available than to feel the need to make up our own tools. There are procedures for this, and it's not that hard. It is a process. It does take time for most people. But when you relive an emotional stuckness from your past and you relive it in a way where you release it emotionally, the healing that will happen is really profound. And I would urge you to seek that healing wherever you can find it. Thanks so very much for listening. More later.